And some people I'll just be surprising and asking things. Mitra, do you want to come on up? And Clayton? Where's he gone? Thank you, lovely. I think I genuinely want to leave a little bit of time to hear from some of you with the questions you still have and what's going on. Bear with me, I'm just looking at the time. And the other thing that I can see some of you already dutifully doing, you'll see that we've got the feedback forms. We really, really would appreciate if you could fill these out now while you're here. And give them in at the back desks or to me or to anyone who you know is involved in this, so that we can take that and ignore it for really, and interrogate it and make it inform our programme for next year. So we've had quite a lot of workshops and panel since our panel discussion. This is the first time we're back together. I'm going to go sort of mainly focus on this afternoon, and first of all I'm going to ask Clayton if he could perhaps feedback some of the key points that a little bit of the premise of their session for those of you who weren't there, and the key points that came out with the young people. Okay, thanks Helga. I will be very quick because I've only just been told that I'm doing this. It's improvised. So just running back to some of the conversations that we had in the session. The session was broken up into two groups, and we invited some young people that we've worked with before at SAMPAD, some young people from Birmingham Ormston Academy, and also from Young Uprising, which is like a youth leadership programme. So there were 5 young people working with this all together, split across the groups, and they acted as facilitators for the groups. There were 3 questions that were asked, if I can just refer to what they were roughly around. Looking at what extent arts organisations engage with young people currently, what examples or what issues young people currently have around engaging with cultural organisations, and trying to come up with some ideas for solutions to addressing some of the problems. So there was some discussion around how organisations are currently working with young people, looking at the flexibility, making sure young people can respond to the working patterns of arts organisations. There's quite an interesting comment made by an organisation looking at a Birmingham grid, a part of a learning a kind of enterprise to help young people understand more about their emotional intelligence. I hope I got that right, which was quite an interesting model. One of the big issues, though, for young people was around just knowing what's on locally. Don't start me. I won't. I know it's come up before. Listings, I know, sorry. Don't start. And how organisations can promote services to young people. And one of the things, well, there was quite a long debate around that, kind of teasing out the failed or problematic business models around such what's on listing business models. So we basically, as one of the solutions, just talked about the idea of the young people just lobbying arts organisations and cultural organisations, telling us what we should be doing, what they want, and asking for our support to help them to achieve that. So it's a kind of a two-way process. I'm not going to say much more about that now, but what I will say is that we're going to have. Also, we undertook a survey just prior to the workshop where we asked about just under 20 young people about their opinions on engagement with cultural organisations. And some of the results of that survey will be made available, won't they, Laura? Somewhere on the Hello Culture website. Yeah, along with a couple of blogs from some of the young people that were here today. So what you'll get from that is the perspectives from young people about the importance of digital technology and engagement with cultural activity. Anyone who's in that session, can we hear from anyone who's in that session about something that they maybe heard for the first time, or something it made them
realise or something that they got from that session? Would anybody like to? We're a small group now, and we are we can be brave and share. Lara.
I just think, I obviously knew the results of the survey beforehand, but I think it was interesting for the group that were part of that all of the adults replied in one way how they thought young people would answer, and all the young people obviously answered how young people thought they would answer, and there wasn't a crossover, was there, Clayton?
No.
Everyone all the people over the age of 25 assumed a certain level of knowledge of young people, which was completely the opposite of actually what the young people were saying.
Right. Lady in the blue. On people on the live feed, I know it's gone dark, I'm really sorry. Just kind of think of us as a sort of, this is the film noir bit of our live stream. But, hang on in there. I'll hold up something white.
Hello, I think also it was like the most popular thing that young people do, which was exhibitions. I was shocked by that, absolutely shocked.
Yeah, most popular activity that they get involved with from our very unscientific survey, it has to be said, but 69% said they attended exhibitions, which was the highest number, overtaking gigs and music events. So there you go.
No, that's very interesting. Thank you.
We did hit the cultural set of young people, it has to be said.
But even so, so maybe one of the questions is, if you want people to, what is it about exhibitions that makes that very easy to engage? Is it that actually your experience of it is largely unmediated, you can attend in a group? I don't know, that's an interesting...
And they're free.
They're free, yeah. You can hang about. Also, you might pick up, is that a stereotype about young people, that they always want to pick people up? Probably. It's what I wanted to do when I was young, but then, anyway. Moving on. Thank you for that. Any other comments or observations from that young people session? Well, do go back to the website to have a look at some of those, some of that survey. As you say, unscientific, but still interesting and illuminating. Mitra, you ran the session actually before lunch, didn't you, on about culture and cultural collaborations. Is there any kind of main points that you want to feedback from that?
It was transforming audience participation. Is this not on? What?
Just nearer.
Okay. It's like really close to my face. So basically I had Clayton from Sampad and had Rosie Fairchild from Splash and Ripple, as well as Matt Davenport from React, talking about various really interesting projects. I think some of the kind of highlights were really around being kind of experience-led. So, whatever you're sort of designing, really kind of go back to that experience. And I suppose it kind of goes back to what Jane Finnis said earlier today as well, this morning, really about going back to that mission. So I think being very clear about what it is that you want kind of people to experience, and then building things around that, and using the tools that are relevant was, I suppose, the kind of main thing that came out of that. There was also a little bit, I have to bring this up because it was interesting, Clayton at one point kind of made a comment about, not really wanting to sort of know about the sort of programming side of things, the geeky side of it. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of re-clarify what you meant, because I think it was slightly misunderstood. Because I think what you meant was that it's kind of leaving people to the things that they're really good at. Actually, it's not about not being interested in it. We're all interested in what each other's doing, but actually giving each other that kind of space as well to sort of actually do the things we're good at, make sure that we get together and we kick off projects, and that we know what we're all kind of saying, that common language thing. I think is really important in any of these sorts of projects, because we're going to be more and more, I think that co-production thing is going to be happening more and more, and that's the only way really, without kind of with funding being kind of so difficult, let's put it in a kind of, we need to think in those ways and kind of cross-pollinate a lot more and create these environments where artists can be working with academics and scientists and technologists, and see what comes from that. And I think in terms of engagement, we talked about giving various kind of levels of engagement, and I think digital can kind of do that. Digital has the ability, I suppose, to kind of offer offer that. And I think we explored various ways, and Splash and Ripple are actually working on a project with Thought Den that we've funded in National Museums of Scotland. And I think they have a very kind of quite a touchy-feely sort of approach to digital, which I kind of quite like. And they talked about their project where they kind of disguised, I don't know if you saw the boxes being taken round earlier today, these kind of amazing little boxes where the tech is inside. And actually, how can we kind of ensure that people can access the stuff so they don't always have to have an iPhone or an iPad or whatever. So I thought that was kind of a really great thing when he was talking about engagement with audiences and with people through digital, is maybe making that stuff a little bit more humanizing it. So,
So Clayton, do you want the right to reply? I think I get what you're saying, but let me give you a chance.
Mitra is absolutely right, yeah. It was basically about using working to people's strengths.
Yeah.
There was no criticism about coders and programmers.
It's
Some of
really
my best friends are coders.
We have coders.
Yeah, I have to say, we've got a lovely IT department at work, but I asked them a question, and then they just cannot help themselves, but they start answering in letters and numbers. Well, what we need to do is move the MX5 records to this, and I was like, yeah. When? I don't need to know that. Just you can tell me a month. I don't mind. I'm not hassling you.
But I think it's the same with us, kind of talking about HLF and, I mean, I go to meetings where people are just blurting out all these kind of, and, people are sat there going, what's HLF? And you have to go, Heritage Lottery Fund. Okay. So, it's that whole thing of common languages and making sure that we sort of check with ourselves.
Yes, I remember ages ago somebody saying, is your computer supported by LRF? I was like, LRF? And they went, little rubber feet.
Oh. Nice.
Just a little TLA joke there. 3-letter acronym. Anyway, it's obviously lost on you. It's been a long day. I appreciate that. So now I'm going to do my random picking on people who don't know that I'm going to pick on them. But Alex McCorkindale, you were in the fundraising. You were in the fundraising session, and you tweeted, "I am learning lots." Well, that's that's like catnip to me. So, Alex, do you want to just, from your, I'm aware that I'm A, jumping this on you, and B, it's just your perspective. But if you could maybe share a few of the learning points that you got out of your session on fundraising, that'd be great.
Yeah, I was hiding because I knew you were going to do that. I definitely learnt what crowdfunding and digital funding meant. I think I thought it was obvious before. And I don't think I'm the only person in the room that didn't properly know what crowdfunding was. I learnt that you have to be as creative as you are with your projects, with your crowdfunding, and how you put together the benefits and things like that. It was great to see some examples from Sarah, some very funny ones, for examples for the RSC and some big organisations. And then I asked lots of questions as to how we need to rethink our marketing or teams in our arts organisations in order to fit this in. Because it seemed very obvious from the figures that came through from Kickstarter that this is relatively just the beginning of how we can make a lot of money that way. And I'm going to try it. So anybody, come and see some of my projects.
Yeah, I think the other thing about it is to make a benefits package that doesn't then just have a benefits package that's not so fantastic that you then just actually have a Kickstarter fund that basically pays for itself. Because by the time you've worked sending off all these people, your limited edition T-shirts and you signed this and your fantastic experience that you've actually left with some money. I do know a couple of crowdfunding activities that in the end just paid for themselves, really, which as an experiment is fine, but you've got to look at that level of benefit, I think. Any other comments from the fundraising part? Yes, gentlemen. Ben? Sorry, can you mind just waiting for the mic? Not necessarily for us, but more for the people in the internet land.
Yes, I learned that it was like many other kind of digital realms, that you can't leave it to look after itself, you need to nurture it. And I'd echo Alex's point that it was to apply creativity to it. So there were many examples of where things went badly wrong just by not thinking about it. And if this is your skill to have a bit of a think about things, then to apply that to the crowdfunding as well.
That seems to have been a theme of today, doesn't it? Don't just unthinkingly, yeah, we'll do a crowdfunder because everyone's doing it. Yeah, we'll have an app because, you know, it's digital. That actually there's just as much thought and creativity. And while I think there's a low barrier to entry in terms of cost, there is still a cost, not least in time and effort, and even if it's relatively cheap technically, and sometimes it's not even that. So yes, I think that's a really fantastic point. Any more from Sarah's session? Alison is here, so I might ask her in a moment. But I'd also like and the access conversation. Is there anyone who was in Alison's session who would like to share what insight or knowledge they gained? If we've got some people from it, don't be shy. No one? You are here because... Yes, thank you, sir. I was going to say, you are here because you were already in the room, weren't you?
There is no escape. Sorry, I've a bit of lost the ability to talk. I suppose there were a couple of things that I can think of immediately that came out from Alison's session. The one was the way that people who have been overlooked can get some power back using social media, and that's an opportunity. It doesn't always work for everybody, and again there are different ways and means of people doing it, but the ability to shame organisations and companies online in a very open way means that they often respond. And the one example that you gave, Alison, of the insurance company who not only felt shamed into treating somebody better, actually changed their processes as a result. I thought that was really good and really interesting. And I've forgotten the other one. There were a number of links that were very useful, because one of the things I was trying to do was pump out the links that Alison was providing that were very useful and provided very low-cost means for people to make things more accessible.
Great. So some good resources. Actually, Alison, would you like to chip in and say anything? What did you get out of the session?
I think the important thing that I got, I honestly didn't think anybody would turn up, because I thought it was like the end of the day and, you know, it's Friday and stuff. And I think the big thing is that, you know, people are committed and do want to do things, but it's not having the information or knowing how to go about it. And so for me, it's nice to know that people really do care. So I'm not just ranting on Twitter all the time. And I think the other thing is just how much we need this sort of information. So I suppose it'd be really nice to say that I'm about to put a bid into Arts Council to do a cultural accessibility on conference, which will happen at Future Everything at the end of March. Right. So please tell me on Twitter that you want it, so I can say to Arts Council it's really needed. So a show of... Thank you. Rob will take it. A show of support for your... okay, so now what we need now is an outpouring of Twitter love with the Hello Culture hashtag saying, yes, we all want to see the Accessibility Unconference run by, and then she's at Pesky People, Pesky People. So head down. Yeah, so it'll be, you go. And it's just so that I really helped to know from the conversation that we had in this session that it really is going to be needed. So that was really brilliant for me. Thank you. No, thank you. Are there any final comments generally that people, is there anything that people would like to, I know you don't like the word share because it's not very British, talk about, mention, pass, comment on? Oh, yes, we have.
I'm just about to rush for a train, but I would like to say that in general, the networking opportunities here were absolutely excellent over the last couple of days. Good. The speed due that yesterday, I have to say, I wasn't overly impressed with. Mm-hmm. But overall, it's been a fantastic networking event and really good. So I'm about to leave, so thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. With my facilitator's hat, and please hand in your feedback before you. Anybody who has to steal away. We're going to finish very shortly, but all I'd like to do as a last thing, because there's enough of you, is I'd like you just to find someone that you're sitting near in the audience, just behind or near. Just turn to them and just each exchange, ideally, one thing, just one thing that you're happy to share about, one thing you're going to do differently in your work practice as a result of being here at the conference. Not, I was going to give up biting my nails on Monday, you know. One thing you're going to do because of being at this conference, one thing differently. If you haven't got something, let the other person go first and steal theirs. Idea stealing is allowed. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do that. Off you go.
Can you send it back to me?
Where's he live?
I'll get to text me.
Put it on Twitter. Tweet it.
No, hang on.
Shove it in there. Tweet it back to him. Tweets and send it to him.
Got it. Can you text me your address?
Very much. You can continue those conversations afterwards if you're not quite done. Just so that you know, so Clayton was going to, Clayton's looking at his accessibility policy and things at the minute, so he's going to use some stuff from Alison's session. Mitra and I were talking about what Jane Finnis was talking about earlier, about how you get your clarity of purpose and then your online presence is an iteration of that. And I picked up a couple of things, which was don't go online to change behaviour. And that what Jane talked about was actually just make everything as shareable as possible. So I think what I'm going to go back and do on Monday is just look at what we do and how we share that. And as Clayton, when we were just saying that, Clayton just reminded me that that's offline too, actually. How shareable is your work offline? How shareable, how much do you share your contacts, knowledge, information? Or do you do a bit of that with it? And I know I do. But actually, I think about the time sometimes I've shared key contacts or things I was a bit worried about giving away. It's always kind of come good for me. So shareability might be a sort of a notion that we can all end up on. We have come to the end of our 2-day conference. Thank you so much for staying. Thank you for staying for the plenary. I hope you found the 2 days interesting and worthwhile. I haven't been told to do this, but I'm going to. I just want to leave us with kind of three thanks. I'm sure you would want me to do this. First of all, to the tireless, energetic marvellousness that is Rebel Uncut, and that's Nat and Julia, and I've forgotten your names, please shout them out. So the Rebel Uncut team, thank you. Can we have a big round of applause? Yes, let's continue. That's sign language applause. That's sign language applause for everybody on the internet doing that, clicking mouses or whatever. They really, so this is my little advert for them, which again, they haven't asked me to do, but honestly, they really do go above and beyond the call every year. They're fantastic. They don't just help the stream work, they help the entire event work, and they do it really well. So thank you very much indeed. And finally, before I say that, I should say my name is Helga Henry. I have had a great honour and privilege of hosting this. My organisation is Creative Shift. You have a business card of mine in your delegate packs, I hope. So you can check out our goods and services. We run training, consultancy and coaching, and I facilitate large groups like this and much smaller ones. So yeah, I am available for wedding, bar mitzvahs and funerals. I'm already doing Debbie's wedding. She's just got to find a husband, but that's a mere technicality.
Can I just interject and say a warm welcome, a warm clap for you as well, because you've been absolutely fantastic. You've made us laugh. You've also managed to pull together our thinking so succinctly all the way through. So thank you very much.
But my final big, huge, heartfelt thanks are to my clients. No, my final big, huge, heartfelt thanks are to the people who've brought this together and have really, Big Cat, Anthony and all the Big Cat team, can we give them a quick hand, because they've made us, taken care of all the logistics, taken care of making sure we're everywhere, and Rob, I know, has really worked hard to make the space work for us and has sort of had to negotiate last minute changes. And to the woman who is emailing till midnight and beyond for the last week, and who has pulled together and given so much thought and care to the content. And I think the way that you've responded to that has been testimony to how much thought's gone into it. Can we have a big hand for Lara Ratnaraja as well? We're 1 minute over. I am so sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the Hello Culture Conference 2012. Please get in touch if you're interested in next year. Tweet us with what you want. Get in touch with us. Use the hashtag or use the Twitter feed. If you want themes, Lara's got a hand up. Themes for next year. Do you want to talk about health? Do you want to talk more about participation? Whatever it is, whatever your conversation is now, let us know so that we can more accurately reflect your needs and digital desires for Hello Culture 13. I hope to see you all before then, but if I don't, have a lovely Christmas. The conference is over. Thank you very much indeed.